Hey guys, so I thought I'd talk about something. So this is a little bit personal, but I thought that I would discuss this because I kind of feel like that it's worth bringing up, especially with the climate these days. So I was recently in hospital, as you guys saw in my video the other day, yesterday. And basically, I had a kind of infection. I had a lump in my breast, and I thought that I could realistically probably have cancer. And it turned out it was just an infection, but I was admitted to hospital for a good part of the week. And so while that was all going on, I met this lady. Now, this lady is what I want to talk about today because the hospital kind of opened my eyes about what's going on in the world, because in Victoria, a lot of us have forgotten the last few years. And what I found really, really interesting, or not interesting per se, more sad, is that there was this woman who, I forgot her name, but she was in the last ward that I was in. I was moved around 5 times because they were just trying to find a place to fit me in because they wanted to keep me there, but yeah. And this woman had this problem she had COVID. I was like, how do I describe this without saying it? I'm just gonna say it. This woman had long COVID, and she was walking around, and mind you, she's not much older than me. Like, when I say, like, she looked a bit older than me, but I look really young for my age. So she was walking around in a walking frame when she had the energy to walk. So she would take one walk around the ward herself. And when I say that, I mean from one end of the room, like from her bed to her door, to the door to exit the room. That was her walking. And then she would also walk with the walking frame as well to the bathroom. Now, she was talking fine in the morning when she woke up, but maybe about half an hour later, her voice turned into Patty and Selma from The Simpsons. And she was obviously in a lot of pain. Now, this woman was in hospital still. She got COVID, I believe she said April, but it might have been March. I was a little bit delirious the whole time because I'd gotten no sleep and I was severely dehydrated, which is a whole nother story. But she was really, really unwell. The other thing that I think is really, really important to mention is that in my third bed, so I don't know what this area is called, but it's like they've got like a bunch of beds on 2 walls, and like we were waiting there for a little bit. It was sort of like a waiting bay before we got moved, because I was in short stay for a day, and then I got moved to that place because I was in 2 different beds in short stay. Then I got moved to that place, and then after that happened, I was moved into the maternity ward, and then the ward that this lady was in. But when I was in this waiting kind of bed area, I guess we're gonna call it, the nurses were all talking about how all the nurses are starting to get COVID and how they're starting to get really, really sick. And it's really, it was really confronting because all the nurses in maternity ward, from my understanding, were all sick. So that was the whole reason why I got moved into a different ward, but I believe that they had no nurses rostered for maternity. Just think about that. No nurses rostered for maternity. If maternity is something where, like, midwives are capable of looking after those people, but there are certain things where there are certain situations where you do need a nurse over a midwife, and they had no nurses rostered into maternity because people are just not taking COVID seriously. And like, honestly, I think that I'm going to start wearing a mask. The masks that I wore at the hospital, I didn't actually have an allergic reaction to, and I wore them for a good, like, I was wearing them, even when I was sleeping, I was wearing the mask, and I was there for 5 days, I think. So I wore a mask for that long, and yeah, like, basically, like, I think I'm going to start wearing them to work again because I just... The hospital system is already collapsing. It already is, and we're not even in the peak of it yet. Everybody is getting sick. I came home to a household who had been in isolation because they'd gotten COVID. They're out of isolation now because it's been a few days, but, like, I came from a hospital setting into a house filled with people who had COVID. If you think about that's kind of really, like, messed up. And this woman, she's not even the worst that I've heard of. She was getting chest pains walking up and down the ward with a walking frame. So the fact that people are just like, oh, it's just a cold, or oh, it's just this. This woman was a normal person. She was an accountant. Like, she's the person who does your taxes. And, like, I'm just gobsmacked that people don't realize that your COVID is not the same as everybody's COVID. And it's just, I don't know, like, this whole debacle, it's just filled with entitlement. Like, people are just like, poor us, we have to wear a mask, our life is terrible. There are countries out there where, like, I was talking to literally one of my friends yesterday from Mexico, and he was like, I was saying how it's stupid that people complaining about how wearing a mask, right? How wearing a mask, the thing that I was talking about, sorry, I'm a little bit tired, I'm a little bit delirious for obvious reasons. The thing I was talking about was that the people here are complaining about how they were locked down but paid for it. And he was like, when we were locked down, we didn't even get paid. Like, so Mexico didn't even get paid, guys, from what my friend told me. Like, sure, we had, like, a lot of time when we were in lockdown, but it wasn't as bad as other countries. Like, there were countries that people weren't allowed to go out and do grocery shopping. We had an hour, and people are freaking out about our rights as civilians being locked down by dictator Dan. And it's like, there was a reason for it, to prevent people like this woman from getting sick and going through this. Like, she doesn't think she's going home to her kids. Mind you, her kids are, like, older, like, 18 and all that, but still, like, imagine not even being able to see your kids because the hospital is not letting visitors come in. So, which is kind of interesting, actually. The hospital is stating that some visitors, like, some people stating that you can have one visitor, most people are stating no visitors. And I think that it's about to change over to fully no visitors because of the situation. Because people were sitting there with their face masks on their chins in emergency room coughing on people. That is, like, how the hospital is right now. And I was in the emergency room for a very valid reason. I personally felt bad for taking up a bed because I felt like that I could do what was needed at home, but then they said I needed to be on a drip. for antibiotics and all that. But the thing is that, like, these people are like neglecting what's going on, and then they're like then waiting in the waiting rooms at hospital. And I don't know, man. I just think that we need to all suck it up, be grown-ups about it, be an example to children, because for some reason the teenagers and kids get it better than the adults in society. And like, I think that part of respecting your community and respecting each other is to tolerate dealing with this stuff, because the whole thing is just messed up. This woman thinks she's going to die because she's had COVID for so long. So, and she's not contagious, that's why they put her in the same room as non-COVID people. But yeah, and the fact that the nurses looked like that they were going to cry, that was like really sad. I felt really, really bad for them. Now I feel like I'm gonna cry. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm like emotional about this. But yeah, like the whole thing is like heartbreaking. Okay, I'm gonna stop this video because I don't want to sit there crying on video. Bye.